Hi, I'm Preston Williams, and welcome to another edition of Jazz Talk. Today on our show, we have with us a very special guest. I consider him to be a young jazz lion. He's been on the scene for over 10 years and has worked with many greats, from Pat Metheny to George Benson, Wynton Marsalis, and Maxwell, to name a few. He is a Grammy award-winning bassist, composer, and vocalist. Please welcome to Jazz Talk, Mr. Ben Williams. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How you doing? Thanks for.
Good, good. It's so good to have you on, Ben. I've been checking you out, man, for like the last decade since you got started. Love your music, love what you've been doing, man, and curious to know more about your humble beginnings, how you got started in music. I understand that you're from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about your humble beginnings, man, your upbringing, how you got started with all of this.
yeah. So I was born and raised in Washington D.C.
Hmm.
Um, you know, um, I don't know if it gets enough credit, but it's DC is a very musical town. A lot of great artists
Oh, yeah,
come there. Over the years, going all the way back to Duke Ellington, to Shirley Horn,
right.
uh, Marvin Gaye. I mean, that list is long. All the like Keita Reds, um, and there's a strong bass tradition. Um, Mike Bowie and um, there's a handful of guys in my generation: Eric Wheeler, Coker and Holt, Amin Salim, all these guys. So it's a bass town. Michelle Deggiocello. I mean,
Yeah.
that list just keeps going. Um, so I mean, that's for me. That was very much. I think very much a part of just how I got into music. It's in the air. We have our own style of music, go-go, that
Hmm.
speaks to our culture. So music is a big deal in DC.
Yeah.
Um, in my family, they're all fans of music. They're not professional musicians, not in my immediate family, but you know, they very much influenced my taste in music, and just the stuff I listened to growing up, like Motown and all the old like soul and R&B, and all the stuff like my brother turned me on to. Um, that was a lot of that stuff more on the alternative side that he liked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just always like, um, yeah, just surrounded by music. And I just naturally gravitated toward it. I started playing in middle school. The I went through DC public schools, and they had arts programs in a lot of the schools. So when I was in the seventh grade, the middle school I attended had an arts program called Fillmore Arts Center, and that's where I started playing the bass. And
Now, I wanted to ask you a question about that, Ben. I understand that you're a big Prince fan. Now, I heard a story back in the day. You had a VHS tape, man, of Purple Rain. You guys would watch it over and over and over. And he was instrumental in you getting involved in music. I think you originally wanted to play guitar, but the
yeah,
guitar chairs were filled, so you just picked up the bass.
that's what happened. I wanted to be Prince, man. So I wanted to play guitar, and as it's such a popular instrument. It's always the first class to get
Yeah.
to fill up. So I just picked the sort of the next best thing in my head, which was the strings class, and that's really how I ended up playing the bass.
Mm,
So
that's
yeah,
great, man. Yeah.
Prince.
Yeah. And you attended the Duke Ellington School of the Arts or something like that?
Yeah, correct.
So during that time period, I guess you were honing your skills and just preparing now. Well, during that time, I guess from the time that you were maybe 10 years old, moving into your early teens, were you playing? Did you have any little, bands or combos that you had in DC at the time?
Yeah. So we started performing pretty early on. I studied under a great saxophonist who just passed not too long ago, Fred Foss.
Hmm.
Not only to me, but a lot of great musicians just that came out of DC in the past 20 or 30 years, really. And you know, we got experience playing out pretty early. We were doing gigs, just as young people, 12 and 13 years old out there playing for the people. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was a great I got some like on the field training, if you want to call it, pretty early on.
Yeah, yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And then after that, you attend Michigan State.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Now,
I guess.
yeah, when I was at Duke Ellington, I studied also under Davy Yarborough.
Oh yeah, I know David. Great, yeah, saxophone player. I know him very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, that just that musical training just strengthened and continued through high school, and those are definitely very formative years. Being under
Mhm.
Yarborough, and the great bass teacher Karen Kellogg um, that's been teaching at. She's just one of those bass teachers that she'd been there for like 40 years, I think, at this point.
Wow,
So, shout out to her.
that's incredible, man. Yeah, you're honing your skills. You go to school, and then you ended up going to Juilliard too. Now, didn't you hook up with Rodney Whitaker and study under him?
Yeah, so that was actually at Michigan State. So
Oh, Michigan State. Okay, okay.
studied with Rodney at Michigan State, and great man, great teacher, great bassist, as we all know.
Yeah,
Um, Learned so much from him.
yeah, yeah. He is a great, great musician. Now, during the time that I guess when you moved on and went to Juilliard, studying there, were there any other so-called, I guess, well-known musicians now that we all know that was studied with you when you were there?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. A lot of guys that are just out here doing a lot of different and great things. John Batiste,
Oh yeah.
who Colbert, The Late Show. We were classmates at Juilliard.
Wow.
Um, Chris Bowers,
Yeah.
pianist who's scoring like everything now. He did Green Book and the Ava DuVernay documentary.
Hmm.
I think he's doing Madden. He's scoring Madden now. Like
Oh.
So we were classmates at Juilliard. Etienne Charles, a great trumpet player from Trinidad. We were classmates. Um, yeah, there's lot of great musicians that are out here on the scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, you're after school, you're out there working your skills, honing your skills. And 2009 was a big year for you. I actually was at the Kennedy Center when you won the Thelonious Monk bass competition, man. I was so proud of you. I
Yeah,
sat, I think I was like the second row back, and I turned around and I looked behind me. I said, man, there's Ron Carter. There's John Patitucci. I said, there's Dave Holland. I said, they were all judging. Let me ask you this question. What was that like for you, Ben, to play, knowing that your heroes are judging you and you see them out there? I mean, were you nervous? How did you handle that whole situation, man?
oh man, I was nervous as hell. I mean, really, who? I mean, that was uh, that was pretty intense. To have
Yeah.
not one but like seven of your heroes. I mean, people that you studied and you idolized, all just sitting there in a row,
Yeah.
listening to you, and um, you just had to put your best foot forward. I just try my best to do what I do and just play. I mean, I'll say my and I think this comes from my mom, my upbringing in DC. Just we always you always gave everything.
Hmm.
The stages, no matter what the setting. You whether it's 4 people or 4,000 people, we always were taught and believed to give 100% of ourselves all the time, no
Hmm.
matter what. So I didn't know any other way. So whether it's a competition or it's a concert, you just find your way to get to that, um, to try to get to that magic and just enjoy the musicians on the stage that you're playing with, and just try to just cherish the moment. Um, so yeah, I was able to do that, and rest is history.
You were fantastic, brother. And I'm not just saying this, but you definitely were the best, there of all of the contestants. I thought you were the best. And it was just so cool to see someone from DC, win that. That was great. Now, not too long after that, man, you hooked up with Pat Metheny. How did you hook up with Pat, man?
Yeah, so I mean, just what I was just saying a minute ago, just about always playing to, playing 100% every single time he played. So when I was at Juilliard, this is my first semester, my
Hmm.
very first concert. Christian McBride came by and he did a residency with us with the students. We did a concert of his music. He did a short. He did like a concert with a couple of ensembles there. And at the time, that's when McBride was playing with Pat Metheny's trio. So
Mm,
Pat
that's right.
he lives a block away from the school,
Oh, wow.
Juilliard. And so Christian invited him over to come, check out this concert. And, I was one of the students. And I think he told him about me, to check out this young kid, from DC, just got to New York, you
Yeah.
know. And so I didn't even know Pat was there in the audience. But, the first time he heard me play, I was just in a student playing a student concert. But he took note, and I guess he liked what he heard. He eventually contacted me, and we sort of stayed in touch over the next couple of years. And then um, when I finished school, we eventually got a chance to play. I just subbed a few gigs for Christian with the
Hmm.
trio, and we just kind of hit it off right away. Antonio Sanchez in the band,
Hmm.
yeah, Pat called me. So this was like 2011 when I did my first stringing gig with him. And then he gave me a call soon after that and was like, "What are you doing next year?" Like, whatever you need me to do.
Man, that's
you
great,
know,
man. That's great.
yeah,
I mean, you're playing with one of the greatest guitarists around, and Pat Metheny, of course, he's been around for such a long time. Love the stuff that you guys did together. And he seems to have a thing for bass players. He's always, I think he did the same thing with Esperanza Spalding. When she first came out, he sort of, got her. Of course, Christian, he played with the late, great Jaco Pastorius, Stanley Clark. He's played with a lot of great bassists. But yeah, the time that you were with, and I'm sure you guys still play together, will play together again. And I believe you guys won a Grammy, and was it 2013 for that recording you guys put out?
right. That first album we did, yeah, we won a Grammy
That
for it.
was that was great. What do you think? I mean, playing with him, what do you think you learned most from playing with someone like Pat Metheny, Ben?
I would say, I mean, I learned a lot of things, but just really, I mean, on and off the stage, his work ethic is just unmatched. He has a such a strong belief in his own vision, that he will just, I mean, he will literally stay up for days and to just work out ideas. And um, he doesn't let his imagination, he doesn't let his means, limit his imagination. And, he always just finds a way to create whatever it is he envisions.
Hmm.
um, he's just he's in a sense like kind of created his own world. He's created his own lane. And he's at this point he can, it's a space that he just can move around in. And it's like, he can do all these different projects
Right.
sort of all like within this universe that he's created, this musical universe that he's created. And it's really special to watch, just what he's developed over the years. And just how hard he's worked to to establish what he has now.
Yeah. Yeah. And he thinks a lot of you, man. He even said Ben is one of my favorite people. He thinks a lot of you. You know. But
He's a
I was
great
going to
guy.
ask you. Yeah, yeah. You played with so many great people, man. What was it like playing with Maxwell?
Oh yeah, man. We did I did a show with him last year in Atlanta. It was with he was doing a string of shows with the symphony orchestra. So
Hmm.
I was recommended for the gig by my good friend Derek Hodge, who had been his musical director and bassist for many years. And it was really fun. I mean, I've been a big fan of Maxwell most of my life, and it was just cool to play all those hits. It's sometimes those gigs are like really easy because like, yeah, I already know all these songs. It's
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. He's a good artist, man.
yeah, play all those jams with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra.
Hmm.
It was just magical, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
another guy,
yeah,
very nice.
great artist, great artist. You also played with Wynton Marsalis too, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. I did a couple of gigs with him. Actually, the first time I played with him, I was in high school. It was we did a thing for Brooks Brothers. I was
Hmm.
probably like, and yeah. Then I did I performed with the septet. Actually, this was pretty early on in uh, my time in New York.
Hmm.
This is probably at least 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool,
yeah,
cool. You also played with George Benson too, didn't you?
yeah. Actually, yeah. I did played on a record called Guitar Man.
Wow.
Um, I think there was maybe like 2013 or something like that. Um, yeah, I mean that was I grew up on George Benson, so that was that was like surreal to go in the studio with. That was the first time I met him in the studio. That was the first time we had never played a note together.
Oh,
I was just recommended to do this to do this album, and he was just so full of personality, and he's one of the best all
yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah, without question. Now, we were just talking about Prince a little bit. Did you ever get a chance to meet him, man?
I did, man.
You
I
did?
got that
Seriously?
a couple of times.
Wow.
Uh, actually, through my friend Esperanza Spalding.
Oh, yeah, Esperanza. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were pretty close, and we were all hanging in L.A. and Prince. So Esperanza was doing a thing for Stevie Wonder for like a benefit concert that he does every year,
Hmm.
and Prince was there attending the concert, and he ended up having like a little get together, and invited us to just hang out at his place in L.A. So yeah, me and Esperanza. Actually, my friend Etienne Charles was in town. He came with us. Yeah, and we just got to hang out at Prince's house, and we got to jam a little bit.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. Wow.
it was pretty surreal.
Guy was a genius, man. He played all these different instruments. I saw some footage of him. He played electric bass well, of course, keyboards, drums. What a prolific musician he was. Yeah, definitely great. Now, I wanted to ask you about singing, man, because I didn't know that you sang, until I guess maybe like a couple of years ago. And I said, man, it's, pretty good. This dude can sing too. I didn't know that about you. I know you were a fantastic bassist, but wanted to ask you about, your latest recording, I Am a Man, which is fantastic, man. You did. Let me just say this. When I heard it, I'm like, wow, this is Ben. Because a lot of critics will say, well, gosh, this guy looks like he's departed from jazz. And I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's like a pot of gumbo because there's jazz, there's hip hop, there's funk, there's R&B. I said that's the type of music that you know many artists play. They play all different types of music. I remember in an interview one time with Miles Davis, they asked Miles about his music. He said the music I play isn't jazz. You know, you just can't put someone and pigeonhole them and put them in one category. But I loved what you did on that, hearing you sing. And one of my favorite cuts, man, is the March.
Mm,
That song is almost like a modern day version of Marvin Gaye, What's Going On,
mm,
you know? And, but my favorite cut on there, my absolute favorite, and I play it over and over and over, is The Death of Emmett Till.
mm.
That one is tight, man. I mean, what a fantastic recording by you. And like I said, it just surprised me because I'm like, wow, this is really different, but really creative, and just some really really good stuff that you did. Now I was going to ask you, Ben. I'm sure being a creative person, you're always working on stuff. And where I am right now in Maryland, we're in phase 3, so clubs, jazz clubs, and stuff are opening back up again. They're streaming concerts. Um, are you sort of in the process of getting things together to go back out, maybe to do a little bit of touring, or well, of course, no one can really do lots of touring, but just maybe a couple of performances, here and there, or any groups that you're, currently working with, about to go back out, maybe hit some dates.
Yeah, hopefully, we're all just kind of waiting. It's, um, yeah, it's as there's so much we're not in control of what's going on. So we're all just kind of keeping our fingers crossed and just hoping that things will start to open back up. And it looks like they are, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
New York has been handling this actually very well. People have been responsible. We had it pretty rough in the beginning, so you know, if anybody knows, it's us. It's how precautious to be. Um, but yeah, we're it's, there's slowly stuff. People are anticipating the spring for some things to come back. So hopefully, if just everything continues to progress in the right direction, yeah, we'll get back on the road and get back to performing. Because this album came out a month before all this everything got shut down, so
Right.
um, we didn't really get to tour and perform this music
Right.
for the public. I'm just really itching to do that. Just play in front of some folks. But yeah, and then in the meantime, we're doing like live stream stuff. I'm doing DC Jazz Fest in a few weeks.
Hmm.
Doing it's all online now, but
Man, when this is over, you got to hit Keystone Corner in Baltimore. Would love to see you. Would love to see you perform there, man. Like I said, that's like my spot. I'm always there for different shows. Uh, but I did want to ask you. We talked about Prince being a big influence on you. Who's like your biggest influence, probably on bass?
wow. I mean, there's so many. There's um, I mean, like I would say Paul Chambers was
Oh
probably my
yeah,
first major influence. Just kind of getting introduced to him through those all the great Miles Davis records.
right.
Ron Carter. Um,
He's considered the most recorded bassist, I think, in history.
yeah, I believe it. He's the man. Definitely my one of my biggest heroes and inspirations.
Yeah.
I don't touch the bass without thinking about him.
Right. Right.
And then electric players, people like James Jamerson. Obviously, it's kind of like the godfather of um, really like the electric bass and um, R&B. I mean the just how bassists play in that genre and everything that came out of that really started with him. So Jaco Pastorius is another one.
What you think about Victor Wooten and Marcus Miller?
Oh man, masters.
Yeah.
Um, masters and also both like really great guys too. Both of them definitely been very supportive of me.
Yeah.
They just got their. I mean that's you just hear one note from either one of them and you know exactly who it is right away. So
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. Now, Ben, I was also going to ask you, what are you listening to right now? I mean, when you're just home chilling out, just relaxing, what are you listening to? What artist or group? If I were to just come over to your crib right now and you're just chilling, maybe a glass of wine, what would Ben Williams be listening to right now?
oh man, anything.
Yeah.
What have I been listening to recently? Um, wow, it's sometimes it's hard to remember. Like it's just kind of let's see this um Christian Scott just put out a new record that's really amazing. His live record. I've been listening to that a lot. Um, um, I've been getting into a lot of like earlier James Brown,
Mm,
like Famous Flame stuff.
okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. Hey, and
I heard that stuff coming up, but I'm like,
yeah.
sometimes you come back to stuff and have a different appreciation for it.
Exactly, exactly. 2019 in December, I was at the Kennedy Center for the guitar competition, and I met your mother. Your mother was there, and
Hmm.
I'm standing there, and I see Pat there. I'm going over to say hello to Pat, and I'm like, "Who's that lady talking to Pat?" And the person beside me said, "That's Ben Williams' mother." I'm like, "Oh, okay, okay." So I said hi to her. She's very nice. And then I went up and started chatting with Pat a little bit. And I was just asking him, I says, "Hey, man, you guys thinking about maybe getting the Pat Metheny group back together?" And this is just before Lyle had passed too. Pat said, he said, "Man, look, Preston, after 30 years, I wore him out. I don't see that. And then I think not long after that, a month or two later, Lyle had passed, and I'm like, what a band, that Pat Metheny group. But yeah, it was a guitar competition, and I was like one of the last events that they had at the Kennedy Center. But listen, man, I want to thank you so much for being on Jazz Talk today. Love you, love your music, man. Keep making it, and hang on, I'm about to close out the show. Well, you've heard it from Ben Williams, and as the saying goes, if the music grooves and makes you move, it must be jazz. I'm Preston Williams with Jazz Talk signing off. Peace.